Hello everyone and welcome to Wulfrum. So I have a pretty unique situation. I've been using the Arkhalis for a long time now because this is a world that I made in January 2020. You used to be able to find the Arkhalis in sword shrines. Now they replaced it with the Terragrim, and now the Arkhalis is a hard mode item. As such, it has been buffed quite a bit. Got 20 armor pen, which I didn't even know about until today. Didn't know you could zoom in either. That's pretty cool. You can like see each individual pixel in high definition. Plus and minus keys, dude. I love them. And you know, I'm about to be hard mode. I have the Knight's Edge. It's a sword I've always fallen back on. I've used it every single time. This is a unique situation. I'm wondering which one I should use and which one is better. So I've gone through a series of tests and we're going to determine, using these tests, which one of these two blades is better. Special characteristics of each sword is they're both technically projectile weapons. The Knight's Edge has 3 hitboxes, the actual sword itself, and then a dark beam of energy, like a dark energy kind of thing around the blade, which slowly moves outward away from you. And very strangely, if you're using the first 2 hitboxes of the sword, the 3rd hitbox doesn't seem to activate. Like over here where my cursor is, this is where the 3rd hitbox is. You can faintly see it. It should be hitting, but it's not hitting. But now that I'm over here, the 3rd hitbox has plenty of time to do its job, which is kind of a strange nerf, I think. Like I should be able to hit 6 dummies here, but I'm only able to hit 4. Which makes the tests worse for the Knight's Edge. So here we have the stats. They're both auto-swinging. Damage, that goes to the Knight's Edge, even more so with a Reforge. Armor pen, however, Arkhalis has 20, Knight's Edge 0. Damage spread, so the center between these two values is the damage stat. It's a very strange way to do things, but that's just how Terraria does it. Knight's Edge wins there too. But here's where the Arkhalis really shines. Against one target, the Arkhalis does 399 to 500 damage per second, while the Knight's Edge does 158 to 248. So the Arkhalis does more than double the damage of the Knight's Edge if you have just one target. But against 3 targets, the Knight's Edge begins to pull away, and it does 520 to 700, while the Arkhalis just kind of does the same damage because its reach is so little, it can't reach the next dummy. The lacking range of the Arkhalis is really being a problem here. All of the damage stats in every Arkhalis test is the same because it can only hit the first dummy, while the Knight's Edge is able to hit 4 dummies because of the weird hitbox glitch that we discussed a second ago. So with the 5 dummy test, even though it can only hit the first 4, that's still way more damage than the Arkhalis can possibly do. 690 to 850, Knight's Edge showing its strength as a multi-target crowd control option, and then every number after that's the same because it can only hit the first 4 dummies. Can you imagine how insane 50 targets is going to be when we test stuff like the Zenith and the Last Prism? Maybe I should test modded items in this way too. There's all kinds of fun content we can make here. So the average of all of these numbers, like if you take the average, then we got 648.8 to 449.5. Knight's Edge is more useful in more situations in terms of dealing damage. High Cthulhu kill comparison time, you can see that the Arkhalis is much faster because its single target damage is unmatched. And now we got the fun, which is hitbox sizes. So without the 3rd hitbox of the Knight's Edge, it is 520 pixels worth of coverage, while the Arkhalis is 112 by 94. The Knight's Edge is a sphere around the player, while the Arkhalis is more of like it's a more oblong kind of shape. You can see here, like, it's a crescent kind of shape rather than a giant sphere of death. Since it's 520 across, it's actually, since this is total coverage, it's not the actual width in front of the player to either side, it's actually about 244 pixels worth of range when you look at the left and right. The hitbox bug is so weird, in fact, that you can really only hit 4 dummies at a time no matter what you do. Like, look at this. My sword is swinging clean through these 3 dummies in front of me, and even the first hitbox of the weapon is not doing anything. So this is the first hitbox. It's a sword about 159 pixels across. Even the handle does damage. Weird. Then here we got the second hitbox. Does a good amount of coverage in a sphere around the player. 244 pixels to either side, to be specific. A little bit less above, but not by a bunch. 206 pixels above, and a bunch of coverage with the 3rd hitbox all the way over here, 363 units away from the player. Although this does take a second before the hitbox actually activates. Like you see here, it's like a solid second before the 3rd hitbox actually lands. The 3rd hitbox, so the 363 unit range is actually only viable if your cursor is in the right place. But overall, I'm going to give it to the Knight's Edge, much better range. Knockback, can't really say one is better than the other. I mean, in the Knight's Edge's case, you more want to keep people at bay. And the Arkhalis is hitting a lot per second, like a blender. So, and its shitty range kind of means you have to be right on top of people to be able to hit them. So bad knockback means you would actually do less damage. So you can't really say that the Knight's Edge is better than the Arkhalis, because the Arkhalis' knockback being less is on purpose. Another reason I choose Ruthless, because if you don't have as much knockback, then you get to hit the enemy more. Critical chance, exact same. And use time, listed use time is the exact same. But due to how weird the Arkhalis is, it's actually more like a use time of 8.5. So I have done a test here. I have 1 second footage slowed down by 5 times. And in this 1 second clip here, extra timer here just to make sure, but it is 1 second. This is 7 hits in 1 second. Kind of hard to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There was another number coming up at the right as the video ended, but I'm still counting it. So a use time of 8.5 is insane. Literally, the game categorizes it as insanely fast, but because the game is weird, it's only counted as fast because it has a use time of 25 in the game's code, even though it attacks this fast. It's not a use time of 25. This is a use time of 25 for comparison. Each dummy is getting hit about once per second, maybe a few times more. This is hitting mini like 7 times per second. Game is weird, I don't know. And then we got the minor stuff, which doesn't matter as much. The projectile velocity, the Arkhalis comes out essentially instantaneously. I'm trying out full screen because somebody recommended it and I do not like it. Like if I just hit the button once, it's extremely fast. Like you can just have it come out. Because it has such a fast use time, you can just like tap the button. You can just kind of like spam it in either direction too. Rarity, I actually have a red text item. The Arkhalis is a red text if you have Ruthless on it. So not that like it matters. 15 is better than 5. The higher the number, the faster the item. Faster the projectile, I suppose. Arkhalis sells for more. They both research at the same amount. Best Reforge. Legendary is better than all 3 of these. Although Ruthless does more damage, Legendary gives more speed, which makes better DPS. Internal ID, I like lower IDs personally because it makes them easier to look up. So dummies, since they have 0 defense, it's less useful for DPS testing with an item that has Armor Pen as its main source of damage. Hard mode enemies have a lot more defense. Possessed armor have 28 defense. Armored skeletons, another enemy you see early on in hard mode, has also 28 defense. Knocking their defense down to 8. The Arkhalis scales really well into hard mode, actually. And combine this with the titanium armor, I think the Arkhalis is actually going to be really good. It's going to be better than I thought it would be. That armor pen is just so valuable. Like I kept saying, like, oh, the Arkhalis is going to fall off because its damage stat doesn't scale very well. Armor Pen, dude. You can't really knock on the Knight's Edge, though, because this thing has such good range. Attack speed is bad. It's bad. I think there's room for both of these swords in my hotbar. That is such a weird sight, but it's just... they're equal. They're good in different situations. Like, Arkhalis rips apart single targets. Knight's Edge is better for multiple targets. Arkhalis may be good at ripping apart single targets, but the Knight's Edge's superior range makes it a safer option against enemies that are unwieldy. I think the Knight's Edge is slightly better, just because it's more useful in more situations. But the one situation the Arkhalis is in, it's really useful in that situation. And thus, I recommend if you're in the same situation as me. You aren't. But if you are, do what I did and stick both of them in your hotbar. So, like, bunch of enemies rushing me, I'll do this. One dude coming towards me, I'll do this. Well, weapon frame, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to claim your prize. All the muscle memory is gonna be messed up now because this is in a different spot. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you for watching, Wulfrum. See you next time.